What if I told you that the most spectacular gardens aren't built by planting new flowers every spring, but by choosing the right perennials just once and watching them return year after year, sometimes blooming for months on end? Most gardeners waste hundreds of dollars annually replacing annuals when they could be investing in plants that come back stronger, fuller, and more beautiful with each passing season. Before we dive into these incredible plants, if you find value in this video, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Hey there, garden friends! Thanks for stopping by today. And if you enjoy learning about low-maintenance plants that deliver big results, consider giving this video a thumbs up. Picture your garden in mid-June when spring bulbs have faded, yet one plant stands tall with clusters of star-shaped blooms in shades from pure white to deep crimson. Coreopsis, often called tickseed, is a Native American wildflower that blooms continuously from June through September, sometimes even into October if the weather cooperates. The threadleaf varieties are particularly spectacular, with feathery foliage that stays attractive even when not blooming. What makes Coreopsis so perfect is its incredible adaptability, whether you're dealing with Georgia humidity or Colorado's drier conditions. It thrives in full sun and actually prefers soil that's not too rich. Overfeeding can lead to floppy stems and fewer flowers, so resist the urge to pamper it. The plant is drought-tolerant once established, making it ideal for those who don't want to spend every evening watering. Deadhead spent blooms regularly during the first half of summer by snipping faded flowers where they meet the stem, and the plant will respond with even more buds. Here's something most gardeners don't know. Coreopsis can actually bloom itself to death if you don't cut it back mid-season. Around July, give your plants a good haircut, cutting them back by about 1/3. They'll reshoot with fresh foliage and a whole new flush of flowers that can last until frost. Have you grown Coreopsis in your garden? And if so, which color has been your favorite? Now let's talk about a perennial that blooms from late spring straight through to the first freeze. Salvia is that rare combination of stunning beauty and bulletproof reliability. When you plant salvia, you're creating a hummingbird and butterfly magnet that will have pollinators visiting from dawn until dusk. The varieties available are incredible, from the deep blue spikes of May night to the coral pink blooms of summer jewel pink and the almost neon violet of mystic spires. These plants typically grow between 18 inches and 3 feet tall and form gorgeous bushy clumps. Once those flower spikes appear in late May or early June, they just keep coming. The secret to keeping salvia blooming all season is remarkably simple. When about 2/3 of the flowers on a spike have faded, cut that spike down to just above a set of leaves. The plant will immediately begin pushing out new growth and more flower spikes. Salvia loves full sun but can tolerate partial shade, especially where afternoon temperatures regularly climb into the 90s. In places like Texas or Arizona, afternoon shade actually helps it look better through brutal summer months. The plants are quite drought-tolerant once established, but they appreciate consistent moisture during their first summer. Here's a bonus tip. In early spring, before new growth takes off, cut your salvia back to about 4 to 6 inches above the ground. This encourages bushier, more compact growth, and even more flowering stems. What's been your experience with attracting hummingbirds to your salvia plants? Imagine a plant that starts blooming in early summer and doesn't stop until snow covers the ground, with flowers like miniature daisies scattered across green foliage. Echinacea, the cone flower, has become a garden superstar for good reason. This prairie native now comes in colors beyond traditional pink and purple, including sunset orange, creamy white, vibrant red, and even lime green. What makes Echinacea truly special is that it's virtually indestructible once established. These plants handle summer heat, drought, and cold winters from New England to the Deep South. They bloom from June through September, and with regular deadheading, they'll keep producing fresh flowers all season. Plant them in full sun with well-drained soil, and they'll thrive with minimal care. Here's a trick many gardeners miss. Echinacea benefits from being divided every 3 to 4 years. If the center of your clump is dying out or flowering is declining, dig up the plant in early spring, divide it with a sharp spade, and replant the healthy outer portions. Another insider tip is to leave some spent flower heads in fall. Those seed heads provide winter interest and feed finches through cold months. Which Echinacea color would you most want to add to your garden this season? Here's something that surprises most gardeners. One of the longest blooming perennials is actually grown for its spectacular foliage. Heuchera, commonly called coral bells, produces airy sprays of tiny bell-shaped flowers from late spring through midsummer, but it's the foliage that steals the show, staying colorful from spring until hard frost. The leaves come in an incredible range of colors, from deep purple and burgundy to lime green, amber, silver, and even near black. The flowers appear on stems rising 1 to 2 feet above the foliage and bloom for 6 to 8 weeks. But even after flowers fade, the plant remains a focal point. In warmer zones, foliage can stay semi-evergreen through winter. Heuchera performs best in partial shade, especially in hotter regions, though many newer varieties tolerate full sun. The key to keeping Heuchera looking its best is preventing crown rot. Plant them slightly higher than ground level, with the crown just above the soil surface, and make sure water drains away quickly. Have you discovered any new Heuchera varieties that surprised you with their color? Let me share something that changed how I think about perennial gardens. Russian sage, with its silvery stems and hazy purple-blue flowers, creates an almost dreamlike effect from midsummer straight through September. The flowers appear in such profusion that the entire plant seems wrapped in a blue-purple mist. Beyond its beauty, Russian sage is phenomenally tough. It handles heat and drought like a champion, making it perfect for xeriscaping or low-water landscapes. The plant typically grows 3 to 4 feet tall and equally wide, so give it space. It thrives in full sun and needs excellent drainage, making it ideal for sandy or rocky soils. One critical maintenance task is cutting Russian sage back hard in spring. Wait until you see new green growth emerging from the base. Then cut the entire plant back to about 6 to 12 inches. This keeps it compact and encourages more flowering stems. Russian sage is also deer-resistant, which is a huge bonus for rural gardeners. What's your biggest challenge with deer or rabbits in your perennial beds? There's a perennial that blooms so reliably and for so long that many people mistake it for an annual. Gaillardia, known as blanket flower, covers itself in cheerful daisy-like blooms from early June all the way through October, sometimes even into November in milder climates. The flowers typically feature warm colors, vibrant reds, oranges, and yellows, often combined in the same bloom with patterns that look hand-painted. This native wildflower brings the spirit of the American prairie right into your garden. Gaillardia is incredibly heat and drought tolerant once established, making it perfect for those blazing summer months when other plants wilt. It thrives in full sun and actually prefers lean, well-drained soil over rich garden beds. Too much fertilizer or overly moist soil can actually shorten the plant's lifespan. The key to keeping Gaillardia blooming non-stop is deadheading. Simply snap off the spent flowers where they meet the stem, and the plant will pump out more buds. These plants typically reach 12 to 18 inches tall and spread about the same width. One thing to know about Gaillardia is that it can be short-lived in heavy clay soils or areas with poor drainage. If you garden in these conditions, amend your soil with coarse sand or plant in raised beds. The payoff is worth it. Gaillardia attracts butterflies and bees constantly and makes an excellent cut flower. Do you prefer the classic red and yellow varieties or the newer burgundy and wine-colored selections? Now here's a plant that might just become your new favorite, especially if you love soft, romantic garden textures. Scabiosa, commonly called pincushion flower, produces unique blooms that look like tiny pincushions studded with stamens, and it flowers from late spring through the first frost if you keep it dead-headed. The flowers come in shades of blue, lavender, pink, and white, held on long, wiry stems that dance in the slightest breeze. Butterflies absolutely adore Scabiosa, and you'll see them visiting throughout the day. The plants grow about 18 to 24 inches tall and prefer full sun with moderate moisture. Scabiosa isn't quite as drought tolerant as some of the other perennials we've discussed, so it appreciates consistent watering during dry spells, especially in hot summer regions. The secret to maximum blooms is aggressive deadheading. Check your plants every few days and snip off any fading flowers. This single action can triple your flower production over the season. Scabiosa also makes an outstanding cut flower with excellent vast life, often lasting a week or more indoors. In northern zones, mulch your Scabiosa well after the ground freezes to protect the crown through winter. In warmer areas, the foliage often stays semi-evergreen. Have you tried growing Scabiosa for cut flowers, and how long do they last in your arrangements? Let me tell you about a plant that absolutely transformed one corner of my garden from boring to breathtaking. Nepeta, or catmint, creates clouds of lavender blue flowers from late spring through fall, and it's one of the most carefree perennials you can grow. The foliage is aromatic, releasing a pleasant minty scent when brushed, and the flowers appear in such abundance that they almost hide the leaves. Nepeta typically grows 1 to 2 feet tall and spreads wider, creating a soft mounding effect that works beautifully along path edges or as a border plant. It thrives in full sun and handles heat, drought, and poor soil with ease. One of the best features of Nepeta is how it responds to shearing. After the first major flush of blooms in early summer, cut the entire plant back by half. It looks drastic, but within 2 weeks, you'll have fresh green growth and a whole new wave of flowers that lasts into fall. This midsummer shearing also prevents the plant from flopping open in the center, keeping it compact and tidy. Nepeta is also remarkably deer and rabbit resistant, thanks to its aromatic foliage. Despite the name catmint, Most cats show far less interest in Nepeta than they do in true catnip, though some cats will still roll in it occasionally. What's been your most successful deer-resistant perennial? There's one more perennial I've been saving, and it might just be the most impressive when it comes to extended bloom time. Geranium. True hardy geraniums, not the annual types in hanging baskets, blooms from late spring through fall with barely any effort. These beauties produce delicate five-petaled flowers in shades of blue, purple, pink, and white, and the foliage often takes on gorgeous red and orange tones in fall. Hardy geraniums typically grow 8 inches to 2 feet tall and spread to form dense mats that suppress weeds beautifully. They handle sun or partial shade, adapt to various soil types, and once established, they're remarkably drought-tolerant. The trick to keeping them blooming all season is a midsummer trim. After the first big flush of flowers in June, shear the plants back by about 1/3. They'll respond with fresh foliage and another round of blooms that continues until frost. Some varieties, like Roseanne, bloom for 5 months straight, with minimal deadheading. What surprises you most about the difference between hardy geraniums and annual geraniums? Here's something most gardeners overlook when planting perennial beds. Echinacea, commonly known as yarrow, produces flat-topped flower clusters from June through September in colors ranging from soft pastels to bold reds and golds. The flowers are made up of hundreds of tiny blooms packed together, creating a landing platform that butterflies and beneficial insects adore. This plant laughs at drought, heat, and poor soil. It grows 2 to 3 feet tall with ferny, aromatic foliage that stays attractive all season. Plant yarrow in full sun with well-drained soil, and it will reward you with months of color. The flowers are exceptional for cutting and drying, holding their color beautifully. Deadhead regularly to encourage continuous blooming, or let flowers fade naturally for a meadow-like appearance. One caution: yarrow can spread aggressively in rich, moist soil, so choose newer cultivated varieties that are less aggressive or plant where its wandering nature won't be a problem. Have you ever used yarrow in dried flower arrangements? I saved the one that genuinely surprised me most for last. Astilbe is famous for its feathery plumes of flowers in pink, red, white, and lavender, and with consistent moisture, Astilbe blooms for 6 to 8 weeks from early to midsummer, while the fern-like foliage remains attractive until frost. While Astilbe prefers partial to full shade, it's the moisture it really needs. Keep the soil consistently moist, and Astilbe will flourish. The plants grow from 1 to 4 feet tall and work beautifully in shaded borders, woodland gardens, or alongside ponds. After flowers fade, the seed heads develop a bronze color that adds interest through fall and winter. Divide clumps every 3 to 4 years to maintain vigor. Which of these shade-loving or sun-loving perennials sounds like the perfect fit for your garden? So, there you have it. 10 incredible perennials that will bloom from late spring through fall, coming back year after year without replanting. When you choose perennials wisely, you're building a garden legacy that gets more beautiful with each passing season. There's something deeply satisfying about watching a perennial return stronger and fuller, knowing your initial investment continues paying dividends in color, pollinator activity, and beauty. Which of these long-blooming perennials are you most excited to try in your own garden, and do you already have a favorite that blooms for months? If you found this helpful, I'd love for you to subscribe and tap that notification bell so you're first to know when new videos go live. Happy gardening, friends!